Hey y'all, it is March the 18th, apparently, 2020. And this right here is a screenshot preview. I just wanted to do it real briefly to let y'all know that it's time to get up on DLive.tv and do it at hopefully the regular time. Like right now, Central Standard Time, it is 7:30 in the PM. And I hope to get that DLive thing going by 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about some things that honestly are not going to be allowed on YouTube at all. In fact, most of this ain't going to be allowed on YouTube, but I wanted to go ahead and send you through a screenshot preview and stuff, just real briefly, the type of stuff that we'll probably get into. Just because on DLive, I don't have it set up to where I'll just be able to show you the screenshots. Not on DLive, not yet. I see that there's somebody up in the building, and I can't believe it. I appreciate you. That's amazing. I don't know how you do so fast. But I appreciate you. The thing is, this is a preview. We're going to be on DLive in about 30-ish minutes. We're setting up to go on, in which we're going to talk about some stuff on YouTube that is not allowed on YouTube. This stuff isn't allowed on YouTube either, but who cares? Like, if they ban it or delete it, like, really, who cares? So I just want to give you a taste. There's two people in the building. Can't even believe it. I appreciate y'all. This is just going to be a real quick preview. Like I said, it's going to be on DLive. We're going to be going live on DLive, hopefully. I'm going to get that set up in about 30-ish minutes. In the meantime, I wanted to give you all a little preview. This is Andrew Gillum. He likes to party. All right. All right, for those in the know who know about that, we'll probably talk maybe a little bit about that. Still getting updates from YouTube. They're telling me about some stuff. They're getting in my way. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones ordered to stop peddling phony coronavirus. This isn't even really breaking. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a while back, or it's at least a couple days old and stuff. Talking about peddling phony coronavirus cures, and they're going balls to the wall with everything to include Alex Jones. They're going to go real hard on him, and actually they're going to go hard on us too. And I don't know if it's apparent to y'all out there, but I'm seeing it for show. I'm seeing it for show out there. So buckle up. But we're going to talk about it over there on DLive. The Young Turks Super Tuesday Meltdown. I had a dude, and I think it might have been a Paul's Okay-ish, if I remember correctly, a couple of weeks, or maybe a week, I don't even remember. A long, long time ago, he told me, hey, let's talk about Cenk Uygur. I don't know how many people out there know about Cenk Uygur, and he's kind of a side note as far as these days, as far as what's really, but the thing is, it is kind of funny if you don't know Cenk Uygur. If you do know Cenk Uygur, you're already laughing. And he's living a miserable, total nightmare of a life right now, and it's unfortunate. All right, we're not rejoicing over that. We're gonna take a look at some of this propaganda. I can't believe 3 people up in the building, and this is only a preview of what we're gonna do on DLive and stuff. But just go ahead and keep it going. Coronavirus cruise ship quarantine. It's an example of one of probably just millions of examples of propaganda, basically straight up propaganda. It's like, who even, first of all, this is New York Post, so it's not like we're gonna believe it, but I mean, you're gonna go on the news and talk about this. What's wrong with you, right? I mean, what's wrong with you is this is propaganda. Basically, like I said, just to go a little bit further into it, is to convince you that it might be a good idea that you quarantine yourself with your loved one for, I don't know, weeks on end while y'all both lose your jobs, maybe, which is happening in Austin. I'll tell you that right now. It's probably happening in San Antonio, and it's probably happening where you're at in your backyard. People are losing their jobs right now, and the economy is really getting tanked, and it's getting tanked on purpose. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to talk about that later. But they want to convince you, oh yeah, it's a good idea that you be quarantined with your loved one. It might spark a new romantic life. No, it's not. It's going to do the exact opposite. It's going to be total friction and pressure on y'all, and it's going to cause a lot of people who may not otherwise have broken up. They're going to break the hell up because it's going to be stressful. And then imagine breaking up and you're in a quarantine with that person, right? Okay, so in many untold ways, it's going to cost people lives. Let's just give you a taste, but it was pulling teeth. It was like pulling teeth. AOC backed away from Sanders' campaign, and isn't that regrettable? Horrible millennials and Gen Zers are calling coronavirus the boomer remover. The boomer remover. I don't know how real that is, but I mean, kids are um, blunt, I guess you'd say. But I don't know if that's real or fake. It's just animosity. It's like another form of propaganda in order to separate generations from each other. Like for example, this virus, for example, it's going around. I don't know if I can say virus on YouTube, but this thing that's going around, the propaganda is big on separating generations, and that you notice how they've been telling you, well, it gets to old people, and it probably does. And so now old people, they probably shouldn't be interacting with the young people, especially young people going around not giving a damn. And there's a lot of them, right? And I don't even blame them. But the old people need to start staying away from them. I'll give you an example. It's like I don't know, I know some old people. One, for example, he's got diabetes, right? And can't come back to work. And it's been for months and stuff. He's pretty much done for. Once you get up out of work and you have that diabetes and you're old man, you're not coming back. And I already knew that. Nobody really admitted it. And everybody was like very hopeful the whole time. He's not coming back. But not only that, on top of that, now you got to add, can you even see his grandchildren now? While he's out of work and stuff like that? Oh, man. He's in a nightmare scenario probably. And so are a lot of people right now. The best bet, and I know it'd be hard to convince some people right now, is to not panic. All right, that would be your best bet. And but anyways, now Mexico worries about U.S. border, and it can constrict or restrict amid coronavirus fears. People are starting to think about their borders now and do these virus fears. All right. By Brenda said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "I just commented twice and they aren't showing up. What in the world? What in the world? I don't know what that might mean. If that could be on your end, or I like to have an open mind, Brenda. It could be on your end, could be on my end. I don't know, but it could be YouTube messing up, and it may very well be YouTube messing up. And you should just expect that. In fact, I think they put out something recently where they said, well, they're going to mess up and start banning people and deleting videos, and there's going to be no recourse. There really wasn't any recourse earlier, but they're just announcing it as of recently. I see there's 4 people up in the building. Can't hardly believe it. And thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all out there. I wonder if y'all have a DLive account or DLive.tv, because that's where I plan to go to. All right, I want to talk about some stuff, man. All right, and I don't want YouTube listening necessarily. Democrats want to reverse Trump's travel bans despite coronavirus spread. All right, so it's always been their thing. I mean, you could say Zero Hedge is kind of biased, but they have always spoken out against borders, you notice. All right, and they did it to the very bitter end. I don't know if they're still doing it right now, but it wouldn't make any sense, obviously. But not only that, I don't know that the military is guarding our borders right now. All right, not in the way that the capacity that I think that they should, or that most people think so. Senator Bob Casey, he says easier to get AR-15 than a coronavirus. It damn well better be like what in the damn world? In America, I hope it would be easier to get the AR-15 than it would be to get a coronavirus. Oh wait, no, he says a coronavirus test. My bad. Either way, you shouldn't just be able to go get it. I mean, I guess you should. Okay, here's the thing about the test, and everybody knows it, so I'm just reminding you of what you already know. The test, if we were to give it out to everybody in America, first of all, you got those hypochondriacs. Secondly, you got people who just wouldn't be convinced. You get false positives, false negatives, and all sort of stuff. It doesn't make any sense. It would cause all sort of calamity. That's why they haven't been doing it, and it would cause all sort of pandemonium. But like we mentioned just the other day, what's ironic is that it would probably prove to everybody that most of us have already gotten some sort of corona. All right, we've either gotten it, gotten over it, or it's still lingering around in our bodies like a time bomb fixing to go off. But we're just gonna have to wait for it. All right. In the meantime, I'm not really tripping because either I have it or I don't, and I don't know that I do or I don't. All right. Like for example, a long time ago, it's on a personal note. I was over at the dentist, and I got to go to a dentist again. But last time I was at a dentist, getting like a tooth removed, And the assistant came in and was like, "Hey man, you want to get an X-ray to make sure if you don't have cancer?" I was like, "Why in the world would I want to know if I had cancer? All right, why don't you get out of here with your X-rays?" And so I mean, that's just to give you an example. Like I mean, I'm not tripping. Metropolitan Police sex subbed Robin Williams over a video, and it happened to be like child abuse video and stuff. That's just alleged. I don't know. I just took a screenshot of it because I thought it was interesting. I don't know if she's guilty of that. Last week's Women's Day march led to a surge of deadly coronavirus infections in Madrid. And I don't know. I think a lot of people out there would find that ironic, all right, and quite pleasing, all right, but it's not pleasing. People out there getting deadly viruses and stuff, that's not pleasing at all. Over there in Spain, it's going all around the world, you'll notice, all right, and in certain places, you'll notice it seems more intense than in other places, to include and especially put the spotlight on America. I don't know about y'all out there in different other countries, but the United States of America, okay, it's reaching a fever pitch, right? But not only that, I don't exactly see people falling over dying, all right? In fact, I've seen people sick for the past months now, but it's not no upkick in people getting sick. Not around me, all right? I don't see it. All right, so that's something interesting to put it. We're gonna discuss that. It's a whole big scenario. All right, Mayor of Florence encourages, and it's just a whole bunch. Like every screenshot I have is about either it's either about this dang coronavirus, or I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but it's either that or about Andrew Gillum and his exploits. All right, this boy right here, that's his exploits. All right, his name is Travis Dyson. All right, and they were getting very exploitative. All right, in the hotel room. I don't know what that means, so I'm not accusing him of anything. But I'm just saying he's a damn liar. And meanwhile, he's looking at other people. This is Andrew Gillum on Twitter. This is actually Andrew Gillum on Twitter the night of his unfortunate incident in a hotel room involving methamphetamines and baggies. All right, and he's looking at somebody who's like, "I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. You should stop looking at Mitch McConnell so hard, Andrew Gillum." I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's welcomed by Mitch McConnell. Bernie Bros warned of massive exodus if Democrats nominate Joe Biden. That's all part of this virus thing. In fact, everything's wrapped up into this virus thing right now. All right. And I've heard a lot of people from a lot of different perspectives, all right? In fact, it runs the gambit pretty much on both sides of the extremes of what people have been saying. I've heard it all right? And you probably have too because it's all over the damn place. This is only part of it, and it relates into it, and in that it's such a disaster, a disgusting, hot, wet piece of garbage mess over there in the Democratic Party. It's so unbelievable that even the Bernie Bros are like they're melting down because they can't believe it. Something that I could have told them years ago, but definitely months ago, I could have told them. All right, and so they're and the virus is kind of like ease the tension because they were fixing to get all riled up. They were. You understand? I don't know if there might have been riots in Minnesota or some sort of stuff, but some people were going to get uneasy about it. Meanwhile, this whole virus thing and everything's what you might call voter oppression or suppression or whatever. They're just making it real easy and nobody's going to be too worried about it. Don't you get worked up about this because you got a virus thing. You got to stay inside your home for weeks or maybe forever. Well, they'll work that out in the meantime. So that's the cover up for that. All right, there's a whole lot of calamity. Basically, you got the virus, all right, and then you got everything that the virus is trying to cover up right now, to include Andrew Gillum and his exploits, and Bernie Bros and their unfortunate demise. The traveling salesman bringing abortion bans to a Texas town near you. Now, HuffPost, I just want to put this out there. All right, it's kind of clear what's going on. Who's the enemies? I'm not saying HuffPost is the enemy. I'm not saying liberals. And I know the name doesn't make sense, but the liberals out there, I'm not saying they're the enemy. Of course, they look like it, but they're not. Right? It's a very spiritual thing, obviously, and it's quite clear cut. If you have the eyes to see, it's like black and white. It's just like you're looking into a crystal ball. of right and wrong, right? So the traveling salesman, and this guy, he goes around Texas, and he's actually been successful in banning abortions, technically in small towns, going through, especially in small towns, and getting them to ban abortions. Now, when it comes to these small towns, to include Big Spring, Texas, all right, they never had the capacity they don't have the facilities for that, for doing the abortions, right? Anybody who got, who needed that from Big Spring, they had to go to another town anyways, right? But I still like the precedent that he's setting, because he's going in preemptively and saying, hey, stop, don't murder the babies here. Try not to murder the babies here. And a lot of times are really going for it. All right. And in fact, Big Spring, for as much carnage happens in Big Spring, Texas, and it is a lot, I don't think they're much for killing the babies, man. I don't know how else I'm supposed to term that. But anyways, HuffPost, like I said, it's good and evil. HuffPost is mocking this guy the whole time and pretty much calling this guy a Nazi and all that whole mess. Moved quickly, Andrew Cuomo praises President Trump. Man, we're closing in on 8 o'clock here and stuff, and I gotta get some stuff ready, but I had all these screenshots, all right? That's just goes to show you we got way more to talk about than we'll be able to talk about tonight, all right? So I look forward to it. But also look forward to y'all's input, because especially when it comes to this here virus, because I want to know. I saw there was a comment from Brenda just a second ago. Let me see what it is. Brenda, Unread by Brenda, says this, y'all. She says, "What about these 80s and 90s-year-old cronies telling our 60-year-olds to quarantine? What about that? What about that? It sounds very interesting." She said, they are well enough to work until they're set until up in their 70s, but now they're fragile. She said, "I don't buy it." So, well, Brenda, I don't buy it either. I'm not buying it. In fact, I can't afford it. Oh my gosh, she said I commented twice. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm not sure if that was technical difficulties or what. There's no telling on YouTube. Um, Unwrapped by Brandon says, spelling there and not there. Sorry. I know how that goes and stuff, man, but at least you know the difference, Brenda. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know you feel me out there. We don't always use a total correct grammar, and sometimes we might misuse a word and stuff, but we actually know the difference. And it's nice to think like, okay, it's not. I type the same way, but at the same time, I put periods, and so does Brenda, and I totally appreciate that. I mean, do whatever you want. And I know it's a side note; it's not really a big deal. But I mean, this is just to put a window into how retarded people are, because we can't even say retarded on YouTube, number one. And then number two, can you at least put periods in the sentences like me and Brenda do? That way I know I can take a breath, all right? Instead of having to read your whole damn paragraph, and you all have periods, and you got like so-called smart people, and they'll be put, and I'll have to read it, and I'll have to read it without pausing the whole damn sentence. I don't appreciate it. Sanders bets on Biden debate implosion. Well, that didn't happen. Actually, that was a little while back. They did have a debate. Joe Biden, I mean, look, I'll give credit where credit is due, and you can't stop me. Joe Biden actually had a pretty decent performance. I mean, considering Joe Biden, his past history. I mean, he actually showed out not too bad, all right? And I actually fell asleep. I fell out hard during that debate. I fell asleep hard into the night. It was just pretty mundane. I was expecting a bigger implosion, but anyways, they're running away with it. If for whatever reason you ever trusted this guy, something is wrong with you. You need to think about that. I don't know why they're bumping foreheads and stuff. They might get that coronavirus on themselves, or I don't know if that was superimposed, or if Joe Biden just does that to people. I don't know what he does. All right, but I was watching the live stream. That's just a screenshot of it. All right, there's all sorts of screenshots. I don't know how many of them are really going to be crucial. See, this patient had limited interaction at daycare. All right, you definitely had people at daycares spreading around the corona. We've been had the corona. I think that's what I gotta impress upon y'all. Don't take my word for it, because I'm not a scientist with a lab coat here. I think we've been had it since at least November, when Chinese people were going to and fro from America all willy nilly. And I think we're gonna continue to have it, and we're just gonna have to see where that goes. All right. Meanwhile, what's interesting is, and we're gonna discuss this even more probably on D Live. pretty soon. So we're gonna have to cut this off pretty soon. But you know what's interesting is that okay, when we look a little bit more into even the more breaking news, we're gonna notice that there's a lot of places around America that are not giving a dang, right? And even if they're giving a dang now, they weren't giving a dang earlier because they didn't even have no idea that they had to be given a dang. All right, okay, but we can single out certain places in America to include, like, say, San Francisco, maybe Seattle. I don't know how that's kicking up, Kirkland or something up in Washington. They're getting quarantined. They're getting straight up, if I'm not mistaken, locked the hell down. Right, and you got places abroad that are exactly like that, like Italy, and I'm hearing things about the UK and stuff like that. Shout out to Paul's Location, a lot of people out there. I'm hearing weird things. In fact, I saw a crazy weird video, and I'm not even sure we can find it, but I saw it earlier, in which a lady, she was getting tackled out of a pool. It was nuts. Oh man, now that I'm talking about it, let me just mention to y'all, and maybe we'll find the video later, but there was some sort of quarantine in a hotel, according to this video, right? And a lady, she's like, pish posh, I don't care about this quarantine. I'm gonna go out to the pool because I paid for this damn hotel. The whole hotel, not just like being in the room quarantine. So she went out of the pool and they were like, nah, you can't have it. We're quarantined. And if you can imagine the scenario, the lady, she's alone in the pool. So regardless of what anybody's saying, she was quarantined, right? She was by herself in the pool. And that's what's interesting. If during the quarantine you go out and you're by yourself and there's nobody for like a mile around, then are you not quarantined still? Right? So she does that, but then they were like, we can't have that. It's illegal now. And I actually saw a guy jump into the pool. I mean, it don't matter how aggressive he might have been sexually towards this lady, but jumps into the pool and grabs her while she's in the pool and drags her out of the pool, which just sounds very dangerous. Winds up getting her out of the pool, and meanwhile, I don't know if there's any quicker way to get corona than to get all up in the pool with somebody and be splashing around with them all up in their spittle. You might get the corona that way, and that would be the easiest way to get it. And you know, it's interesting. I bet you that guy who dragged the lady out of the pool, he's not going to go quarantine himself, or he might go and quarantine himself with his loved ones, who he may very well give corona to because the protocols don't make any damn sense. All right, and that's how I think that's what y'all are noticing out there. If I'm not mistaken, y'all are noticing that the quarantine protocols don't even close to make sense, right? And they're not going to stop any sort of disease from pouring through. Winners and losers from the Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden debate. You know what's funny is the headline is called "Winners and Losers." There's only two people on the stage, so inevitably they both have to be winners, and inevitably they are both some damn losers. North Texas school districts to close indefinitely. That's what I got to tell y'all out there. If y'all have children or something out there and they're in school age, and you're wondering because like spring break was, it was put off. They made it longer. You're wondering, well, when are they gonna go back? Is it gonna be next week? Is it gonna be April the 15th? I wonder when they're gonna go back because it's kind of a problem. It's kind of a problem, probably. There's a reason, probably, why your kids are in school. More likely, maybe you have a job, or maybe you got let out of your job just recently. But either way, the kids being at home is going to be sort of a problem, sort of an inconvenience. So people are probably thinking about it. They're wondering when the kids are going to go back. My guess is, and my guess since day one, since they announced it, the postponing, my guess is that your kids are not going back to school. Not for this year. You need to give that up, all right? You need to find out some other way and figure out. See, it's a perfect storm because how long do you think you can get kids to be pent up in a house? Like you're gonna try and quarantine them. See, some parts of the country are locking down everybody, and certainly I've gotten word that they're thinking about locking down cities in general, like the outside of cities. I'm talking about like checkpoints and all this on highways and stuff like that. They're thinking about locking down cities and stuff like that. All right, but how easy is it going to be to keep all these kids up in the house? It's not going to happen. And here's the thing. Pretty much running out of time. Like, I mean, all sort of crazy screenshots that I had to show you. Look at all these monkeys. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. Coronavirus has affected this town so bad, and everybody got quarantined, and no tourists are coming through this Asian town. And apparently, all the tourists and all their food and all the infrastructure of it, it provided scraps for these here monkeys. Now, these monkeys are running out of their table scraps, and they're getting quite agitated. And in fact, believe it or not, having big monkey gang fights all in the middle of town square of the most vicious nature that you could probably imagine. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing for your town. All right, and so it's all over the world, all over the world. This Somali man said, "Hey, Omar, she married her brother, and she's really trying to perpetrate on y'all." Meanwhile, his life is at stake now, as you can imagine. Andrew Gillum, he's having romp-arounds. He's in rehab right now. Talib retweets F the Nation Day prayer. Of course she would. Community leader who confirmed Ilhan Omar married her brother is living in fear as he should be. See all this stuff. It's crazy. Alright. It's crazy. And I forget what else I was going to discuss before we get out of here. Here's an example. Broward Public School teachers prepare to implement online classes. You know, it's so crazy. When you imagine the infrastructure involved in all this, right? They have trouble testing people correctly. They certainly were arguing to keep the borders wide open for as long as possible. But on the back end, they have all this infrastructure that they're fixing to put in place. Now, last episode, Brenda quite graciously came in and brought up the 5G implement. And she was saying actually that she was getting worried, and we haven't looked into it yet, man. You know, oh man, time's flying by. But I do want to look into it whether or not certain schools are installing all sort of 5G technology into the schools right now, while quote disinfecting the schools while closing them down, right? Because it takes a lot to actually pull that off. And I don't know if they're doing that in one school or a couple schools or a handful of schools around the nation, or if it's all across the nation. If it was all across the nation, that would take a big concerted effort, which would take a lot of planning. All right, and then on top of that, I've seen cases in which schools, little schools, elementaries and stuff, middle schools and stuff, they're giving out laptops to all the students to do online schooling. Laptops. It's like, dude, I mean, explain to me how y'all had all these. Did y'all already have all these laptops on reserve? And if so, how come the kids didn't already have the laptops that you had on reserve? You're BSing around. Okay, do y'all had all sort of laptops on reserve, and so now you're graciously giving them to the children so they can do online classes. Meanwhile, you're just keeping them from them beforehand, and you had all sort of money to buy them. Either that, or you're claiming you bought them all right now, right? And now you're implementing it right now. I highly doubt it. All right. So what we're seeing and this sort of stuff, man, dude, this makes me sick. All right. Totally sick to my stomach that people would even sell this, that people would buy this. Oh man, they're gonna reap the rewards of what they've sown. The people who are doing this. But okay, before we get out of here, because it's about time, and I do have to go over on D Live and establish myself on D Live, and I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all out there. But just we're gonna talk about in more in depth what we're talking about right now. But just go ahead and close it out. It's all sort of infrastructure and taking place. It's all sort of people who, in the government or outside the government, they're working to implement the what protocols they're gonna put in place into the very near future, and this definitely propaganda that is awkward to say the very least, in order to manipulate us into doing certain things and believing certain things. I want to take it all the way back and a throwback many, 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 many hours ago. All right, in the Stone Age, back when the world was a different place. Everybody, to include my quote liberal friends out there, were joking to me about people in Asia eating bats and rats and yaks wieners, and also and just like seeing all sort of videos and saying, "Hey, look at this! Okay, what you're seeing for sure is not only in that situation, but in a lot of situations, it's a propaganda machine that has to be so damn powerful that you wouldn't believe, right? I'm talking about millions and millions and billions of dollars having to be poured into making sure that everybody's laughing and giggling. You wouldn't even believe it. You think that, I mean, because a lot of this is organic as far as what goes viral on the internet, most of it is organic. The rat soup, the bat soup, no, that was all forest. They wanted you to believe that from day one. They were quick to say, "Oh, that's what it is." All right, they were so quick to say it. Right, and in other situations, they have no idea what's going on. Oh, we don't know what's going on. We just can't figure it out. We just can't figure it out. All right. And so all signs since day one, since the first few days, have pointed to a man-made virus. All right. They wanted you to believe all this wet market BS where they're eating monkeys and bats. And sure they are. I don't know. They've been doing it a long time. If you really want to focus on that, like I said, I mean, I focused on it in that you have to be of a slave mentality to be eating all those different various creatures, right? You really have to be on the brink of devastation and poverty in order to be eating that way, right? In America, we do it a little bit different, right? Uh, I don't know who's right and wrong. I'm just saying, y'all some slaves over there. And that's all I took away from that. Meanwhile, you have a laboratory not far away from there, conjuring up all sort of viruses, and I'm not to believe that you let it slip out of there, either on purpose or on accident. I don't really care which one it was. And eliminate a whole bunch of your people as typical for that particular area. All right, I'm talking about China, in which y'all typically eliminate your people and then go about lying about it. All right, and then later on it gets leaked out by your people who happen to escape and talk about the horrible atrocities that y'all do. All right, so I know y'all some liars, right? And I know y'all in some cahoots with all these other different entities. It's kind of an international game in which now all y'all's international entities are working towards a certain goal, right? And I forget actually what was the point that I was going to make earlier, but it brings to mind another point, and that it's got a lot like another case that I became very familiar with, and that's Parkland, all right? And in that it kind of what it's looking like it pans out is it's like a macro version of Parkland, all right? And it's an interesting. I was thinking about this earlier. Thoughts were going through my head about it, and in that, okay, it's kind of like Parkland in that people do get hurt. People got hurt, and not only do people get hurt during that day, but there's people going to prison over Parkland who have nothing to do with it and are going to continue to go to prison over it. The people who do need to go to prison about it, those people you can't talk to them at all or question them ever again, right? They get to ride off into the sunset, right? Meanwhile, people did get hurt and people are going to continue to get hurt. In this virus situation, people did get hurt and people dying all over the place. That I'm willing to believe it. People did die over this. People are dying over this, but it's also conjured up and made into theatrics, just like Parkland, and all sort of propaganda is being poured down your throat right now in order to cause you to have fear. Meanwhile, fear is not going to help you either way. Whether you heard the news or not, fear would never help you. All right, and that comes from a certain entity, fear and doubt and all this, and they want to put that into you, right? And so they're doing all that in order to get you moved, in order to break yourself off, and that is the point. There is no other point. All right, it's not for nothing's for your safety. These people ain't out for your safety. Believe it or not, people who are over in hotel rooms with their good friends who are known male prostitutes and having all sort of methamphetamine parties and stuff, they're not too concerned about your safety necessarily. All right, and so okay, it's just a big version of that. And so there's a reason why we're focusing on Parkland because now it really does relate to everybody, basically everybody, and that's why I'm doing it. Pretty much everybody has to focus on not Parkland, but the virus right now. And while we're focusing on that, know for sure that the virus in and of itself is supposed to distract us from all sort of other calamity going on right now. And you know what's interesting is just to get out of here and close out because we're already over the time limit. You know what's interesting is that we were talking about Broward just a second ago, right? Look at this guy. He's superintendent for their schools over in Broward. His name is Robert Runcie. He's very trustable, as you can tell by his face. All right. Um, okay. They had that whole scare, right? Remember Parkland? And that was supposed to make you scared all across the country, even though statistics did not support that at all. And it's supposed to make you scared, and they were supposed to ban a certain kind of gun, and there's also propaganda around it, and they still, in fact, push certain people out there, and they're supposed to be famous, even though nobody cares about these people. All right, and it's in order to enact anti-gun legislation, right? And meanwhile, okay, you supposedly had this person shooting up a school. I have my reasons to doubt it. And you're over there and you're saying, "Oh, this is a big thing to be concerned about," and but yet and still you didn't shut down the school, right? Not necessarily. I mean, it kind of went on hiatus for a little while, and then they wound up coming back to class. You didn't shut down the schools around there. You didn't shut down all the schools in your district about it. Even though it was so scary and it was a nightmare scenario and y'all were all shaking in your boots and stuff. Y'all didn't shut down the schools for that, even though, technically speaking, you should have seen all evidence around that building of just nightmare proportions of stuff that you would rather not see, of people torn apart limb from limb. All right, you would have, technically speaking, in that situation, you would have seen all the evidence in the world to be scared out of your mind and shut down all the schools, but you didn't. You didn't shut down the schools. Meanwhile, now over there in Broward, and I'm talking about in South Florida, where like open sewage has been a problem for y'all for like months and months. Trust me, I've been keeping up with it. Open sewage, all right, been a sincere problem for y'all for months and months. All right, now that there's this invisible thing that nobody can see, and some people get sick, but it's definitely not a lot of people, not at this point. All right, now y'all scared out of your mind. All right, now you shut down all the schools. You see how that doesn't make any damn sense? None of it makes sense. We're gonna talk about how much sense that it doesn't make a little bit more on D Live. All right, we went on here for a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I appreciate y'all out there, and we're gonna get ourselves established on D Live, where hopefully we can talk about this sort of mess before we get banned and before we get locked up in our homes by some terrorists. Anyways, it's March the 18th. 2020, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. And later on, I'll leave a link to the D Live, and then you could go ahead and see it in the replays. They have replays. Go to the replay tab and click to see the video, and also subscribe, create you an account over there on D Live. All right, and I'll leave a link. But anyways, in the meantime, you should be able to find me on dlive.tv/Gerardo or something like that. Like if you search Gerardo, that's my name on D Live, and I'll holler at you. Anyways, I appreciate you.